I have a confession to make. I used to hate the holidays. Not when I was a kid, but when I was in high school, I had a bit of a phase where I was like the Grinch who stole Christmas. But not anymore. I like it once again. I don't want to steal Christmas anymore. And now in this new mindset, I am going to be watching and giving my thoughts on every SpongeBob Christmas special. Specifically ones from the main SpongeBob show. I don't know if either of the spin-offs have any Christmas episodes, but if they do, maybe I'll talk about them next Christmas. Also, I'm going to be talking about exclusively the episodes that were officially marketed as an actual Christmas special, not just any episode that mentions the holiday. So even though it is an awesome episode, I will not be talking about wishing you well in this video. Alright, without any further delay, let's dive in right now. I'm gonna come out and say it. When I was a kid, I always loved the first two Christmas specials that they made for SpongeBob. Though there were only two of them up until I was in like 11th grade, so could it just be nostalgia bias? Well, let's find out. Beginning with the Season 2 special, Christmas Who. This episode opens up with a Patchy the Pirate segment as a way of introducing the SpongeBob stuff. And fun fact, this special was the debut of Patchy the Pirate. He was originally created as both a way to fill time in this episode to make it an actual 22-minute special, and also as a parody of the campy TV hosts of other kid shows. And then they decided to keep him around and use the character again in other episodes. And I can see why they did that. He's very good in Christmas Who. There's something kinda charming and funny about how intentionally low budget the Patchy segments are. And I also love the back and forth he has with Potty, his pet carrot. And I also love the back and forth that he has with Potty, his pet parrot. Try saying that 5 times fast. I can barely even say it once. Oh, and despite being there to fill a bit of time, I don't feel like the Patchy segments overstay their welcome in this special, like they did in the Sponge Who Could Fly. But now let's get into the actual episode, and I love it too. The beginning of the episode kind of plays on the dynamic between SpongeBob and Sandy that some other classic episodes do, where they are very close friends who just so happen to see life through a different lens and are knowledgeable about different stuff, cause they both come from completely different backgrounds. SpongeBob being someone who has lived in the ocean his entire life, and Sandy being someone from Texas. And people who ship Spandy are gonna be mad at me saying this, but they also sometimes are shown to be characters who have almost a sibling relationship, with Sandy being the one with usually more knowledge and life experience than SpongeBob. And we also see that in this episode with how she is the one who teaches SpongeBob about what Christmas is, and I just love that. It's very wholesome. It was also funny how SpongeBob thought Sandy's tree was on fire after she put Christmas lights on it. This entire special honestly isn't the funniest SpongeBob episode or anything. It isn't one of the episodes that make you die of laughter, but it does have a good amount of pretty funny jokes, like Patrick asking Santa for another piece of paper, and also calling him a genie, and also drunk Santa at the end. I also love the song in this episode. It's a fun and catchy listen. The aspect of this episode though that I love the most is how it focuses on Squidward essentially being this episode's Grinch who stole Christmas. He puts SpongeBob down for celebrating the holiday and laughs at him when Santa never shows up. But then, when very sad and defeated and crying, SpongeBob gives him a gift, one that he said he made for him so that he wouldn't feel left out when Santa came, and gave everyone else gifts. And what he gives Squidward isn't just a jellyfishing net or a Krabby Patty, it's a handmade clarinet that even has his name on it. And when it hits him that this is the greatest gift anyone has ever given Squidward, he feels show's absolutely terrible for making SpongeBob cry. And we see in this episode how, even though he often acts very mean and grumpy, he actually does have a conscience, as he then spends basically the rest of the episode dressing up as Santa and giving everyone gifts, just so SpongeBob wouldn't feel sad. And then, that's when Santa shows up, flying above Bikini Bottom. And I have a theory. I think the reason why Santa didn't show up in this episode until after everything had already happened was because he knew Squidward needed to be shown a lesson in not being at least too mean during the holidays, and trying not to put people down too much like he did SpongeBob. Either that, or Santa was just too busy hitting up Goofy Goobers. But yeah, Christmas Who definitely still holds up, and is a very good special. Another special that, I'm just gonna say it, still holds up, is the Season 8 It's a SpongeBob Christmas. This one also opens up on a Patchy segment, but not one like any of the Patchy segments we've seen before, as usually they're live action, but the ones in this episode are animated, stop motion to be specific, which is basically animation made with puppets and mini sets. And for his debut in animation, Patchy looks pretty good, even if a tiny bit unsettling, and the Patchy segments are decently funny. You've got Patchy kidnapping a mailman and stealing his truck, Patchy and Patty trying to eat each other. Pause. Yeah, pretty good Patchy segments, despite being so different from all the other ones. Something else pretty different, the SpongeBob section of the episode itself. See, this entire episode is a stop-motion special, in the same vein as many classic stop-motion holiday specials. And the way that they handled the new animation style for the special, it's amazing. As soon as the episode begins, we instantly get fully invested and blown away by this awesome SpongeBob universe they made for this one special. I love all of the different fabrics and textures you can notice when watching it. They put so much detail into the visuals, and the animation itself was just very well done, including that action sequence at the end of the special when SpongeBob saves Santa. This episode, of course, also has that iconic song, Don't Be a Joke. Almost every episode that they have Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob, sing a song, in this case multiple songs, we get to see that not only is he a wicked talented voice actor, but he's also even good at singing, and the songs in this episode are 10 out of 10. I have nothing negative to say about them, and it made me laugh out loud when SpongeBob sang the lyrics, "Everyone needs a Christmas time cliche," making a joke about how cliche fruitcakes have become. And by the way, that's basically the story in this episode. Well, not the thing about it being a cliche, but Plankton makes a fruitcake laced with basically a poison that makes anyone who eats it become very aggressive and bad people. And it's a good story. I do have one small complaint about it though. The solution to this episode has to do with Sandy using a Christmas magic analyzing device to find out what's inside of all of the fruitcakes and then how they can undo the effect of it making everyone mean. But it's never explained why she even has a machine to analyze Christmas magic, so it just kinda comes off as being a massive plot convenience and a bit of a cop-out. But given how awesome everything else in it is, this is also definitely a very good special. And now to talk about the Season 11 special, Goons on the Moon, aka SpongeBob Mary Pants. Not to the same extent as Truth or Square, the 10th anniversary special, but this one is pretty infamous for one main reason. Before it premiered on TV, Nickelodeon promoted it as the next SpongeBob Christmas special. But not just any Christmas special, one that takes place in outer space. And in the advertisements for it, Nickelodeon called called it SpongeBob Mary Pants. And I remember being very excited and curious about what it'll be like, cause it does sound like a pretty different and creative idea for an episode. But then when it actually came out, it became obvious that the entire thing was a marketing lie. It wasn't actually a Christmas special, and there was almost nothing even Christmassy about it. Santa doesn't even show up until the last 8 minutes, and up until that point in the episode, it's basically just a special about SpongeBob, Sandy, Mr. Krabs' daughter, Pearl, and Squidina going to the moon and having some wacky shenanigans happen. Oh, and also Squidward accidentally tags along, and it was pretty funny actually how he thought he wasn't actually in outer space and he was just losing his mind. And yes, I did mention Squidina. This episode was the debut of the character, who would eventually go on to become a main character in the Patrick Star Show, and it would be revealed that she is his sister. And how did this episode do at introducing Squidina? Okay. We see that she has kind of a geeky personality. She likes comic books and stuff, but that's basically it. Not a bad introduction, just not very memorable at the same time. And when this episode first came out, I was kind of mixed on the character. There are some decent gags in the special, like Sandy having a lunch button in the spaceship next to the launch button, and the conflict is interesting. Basically, Sandy and SpongeBob accidentally move the moon away from the planets, and they have to try to put it back where it originally was. And then Santa shows up out of nowhere and tries to help them. And then SpongeBob just completely destroys the moon, and then he becomes the moon. And yeah, honestly, it was an okay viewing experience. It did keep my attention, but it just isn't anything amazing and isn't a special I can see myself choosing to go back to much at all, unless if it's for the purpose of doing what I am doing right now, making a video about it. Now, I could review it as two things: a Christmas special and just a non-holiday special. As a Christmas special, this is a very bad Christmas special, because it isn't even a Christmas special. But seeing how it was probably just a Nickelodeon idea to market it as a Christmas special and it's not the actual crew who made it, I'm just gonna say as a non-holiday special, it's not bad, but unfortunately kinda mid. Well, that was disappointing. Anyways, on to the next one, the season 13 special, SpongeBob's Road to Christmas. Now this one, good news, is an actual Christmas special. Can you guys believe it? Neither can I. This special is a team up between Patrick, SpongeBob, and Plankton as they travel to find the North Pole so SpongeBob can give Santa a present. So it's basically like a combination of the original SpongeBob movie's dynamic between SpongeBob and Patrick as they go on an adventure, and Sponge Out of Water's dynamic between SpongeBob and Plankton teaming up. And it's a very fun dynamic. And I like how Plankton is shown to be basically the adult between the three of them. And I like the plot of the special itself as well. And not a super over-the-top story about having to save Christmas or anything, but SpongeBob just wanting to give back to Santa, and so setting out to do so. And I mentioned a couple of SpongeBob movies because even though it's only 20 minutes, this episode kinda does feel like a movie, with SpongeBob leaving Bikini Bottom on a mission, which seems to be kinda the formula for SpongeBob movies. I loved the ending with SpongeBob giving Plankton a little gift. And a few other things I wanna mention. I thought it was very funny and entertaining what they did with the buff reindeers and SpongeBob and Patrick getting chased by the elves. Also, I loved the scene where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Plankton accidentally end up in a Christmas-themed amusement park, and we see these malfunctioning mechanical elves, and it's got a tiny bit of an unsettling vibe. Like, what is going on? And then when Patchy the Pirate shows up and makes a cameo, it comes completely out of nowhere and is a type of shocking reveal that I love. You think SpongeBob is talking to Santa, but it's actually another well-known SpongeBob character dressed up as Santa. This episode is the debut of Patchy in 2D animation, and it's kind of odd seeing him and Potty like this, but I also do enjoy seeing it. It's not like many of the other Patchy cameos that we've already seen. It's different. Yeah, this is a good special. I'm happy to see things picking up again. And hey look, another stop motion special. The final episode I'm going to be talking about in this video is the season 14 special, Sandy's Country Christmas. This was the second of 2 stop motion Christmas specials that they made for the show, but between the time span of this one coming out and It's a SpongeBob Christmas, they also made a stop motion Halloween special, along with multiple stop motion segments for the Patrick spin-off show. Meaning by the time this Christmas special came around, they had already had a lot of experience with stop motion, and it definitely shows. I didn't think it was possible for them to visually outdo themselves after the previous stop motion specials, but this is the best SpongeBob has ever looked in that animation style. It is so good, so expressive, and so high budget looking, but the animation is only one aspect of what makes a SpongeBob episode what it is. Interestingly, Patchy doesn't even show up in this one. Instead, they decided to have this episode open up on a cameo from Frenchie, the French narrator, which was a pretty neat and unexpected choice. And speaking of characters that they had show up in the special, it also included and heavily focused on Sandy's family, which debuted in the 2024 Sandy Cheeks movie, which wasn't very good at all. But I will say, they were actually okay in this episode. I'm still not fully sold on the characters yet, but having them show up in something that wasn't necessarily a dumpster fire did at least go to show that it wasn't single-handedly these new characters' fault that the Sandy movie ended up being so bad. And it was honestly pretty fun how this episode basically followed SpongeBob and Sandy trying to save Christmas by basically doing Santa's job and delivering gifts because, well, he kinda can't in this episode. But what I didn't like was how it was the kids in Sandy's family's fault that Christmas even needed to be saved, but yet everyone in town just blames Sandy. And then there was a scene of Sandy singing this very sad song about how she feels like she was the one that ruined Christmas. And yeah, they do basically help Sandy save the day, but those 2 troublemaking kids never get in any trouble for being the actual reasons Christmas needed to be saved. But overall, the special does tell a pretty enjoyable, festive tale, and it is a very fun watch, especially with that animation. Though, at the same time, I don't know, it just feels like there's something missing on the storytelling side. It's like a cup of plain milk. I do like a cup of plain milk from time to time. I would drink it if I'm thirsty, but it's not chocolate milk. It's not amazing or anything. This is a good special, but the original stop motion special that they made was much better in every aspect aside from the animation. But what do you guys think of all of the specials I talked about today? Let me know in the comments below. And that's gonna be it for this video. But before I go, my buddy Cybor has something he wants to say to everyone for the holidays.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Don't forget to eat spaghetti and have a happy holiday. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think Josh is gonna put it in the description.
Yup, I'm gonna put it in the description below.
You better!
Okay, I will, I promise. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and maybe even hit that new hype button YouTube just added. Merry Christmas, everyone! Cartoon Post out!